Hi, I'm Dana. I recently had whole brain radiation, so if I lose my words or have to look at my notes, it's just where I am right now. I decided not to wait until I was fully better to share my journey. Um, so what is my journey? Well, first, this channel is finding God in stage 4, and I just want to share what it's like to have stage 4 cancer, maybe even just going through a trial. Certainly, stage 4 is a trial, and how we find God. Hopefully, I find God in this. Some days, yes, some days, no. Um, but just to try to always be willing to keep looking for Him. Um, so that's kind of why I created this channel. I just want to share. I just want people to know more about, I want people to see what a journey is really like. Um, the good, the bad, um, the ways that God shows up, and maybe ways that I wish that He would show up but doesn't. Or maybe He's still there, but I just don't see in that moment or in that thing. Anyway, um, so my diagnosis, what is it that I have? I was diagnosed in March of 2025. Just getting to that point proved very difficult. I guess it was actually February 24th, I believe, maybe the 25th. Anyway, um, at the end of January 2025, I felt something in my breast, and my whole breast was just swelled up, like more than a cup size bigger, and it hurt, and it had come on over about 3 days, just like normal, to like just this swollen big mass. um, but it wasn't the type of cancer I have. Doesn't show up like a tumor. It's called inflammatory breast cancer, and it's very rare. So this is hard. So I found this mass, and I had my husband come in, and I said, should I go to the doctor for this? And he said, yeah, you really should. And they measured at my primary like a 3 centimeter, like like what they could kind of measure with a tape, and said, yeah, you need to go get a mammo. So I called UC Davis. I called my people, and they couldn't get me in until March. And I said, I really don't think this can wait that long. Like, it just was different than anything I'd seen. And she says, well, I'm not going to leave you that long, but we'll find something sooner for you. So, um, so she did. She got me an appointment. I think it was February 14th, 1 week after my 47th birthday. 1 week after my 47th birthday. So I went into that appointment, and they did a mammo, which was very painful, and followed, I think a week later, we did a biopsy, and finally that month we got the results of it was ductal and lobular and invasive. But inflammatory breast cancer, because it's so rare, they don't know that, like, nobody says that. And they even kind of minimize it. Like, even the mammogram lady said, this, it looks like you have an infection, which was one of my whole, like, something's going on. And me being who I was, I had done my research, and I knew about inflammatory breast cancer. So I was kind of screaming, I think this is what it was. But it's still, after the 24th of February, when I was diagnosed, they said somebody would be in contact soon. Um, but it turned out that UC Davis was on strike at that time. So they said, oh, we don't have to get back to you yet. We don't have to get back to you yet because they're on strike and it'll be longer. And I was calling and calling and calling. And anyway, finally, with my primary's help and getting another biopsy, got to my current doctor, my oncologist, and she took one look and she said, this absolutely is inflammatory breast cancer. And like there was no doubt in her mind when she saw it, and told me I would need to do, and we had to do a few more tests. I think I had a biopsy, and I had to get a port placed and a few things like that. Anyways, I did those 6 rounds of radiation. Not radiation. I did 6 rounds of chemotherapy. I finished last July. Everything was responding amazing. Doing super, super well. It worked. The treatment worked. I had to continue to go for a Phesco, which is antibody treatment that they just put in my leg. Took, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, the whole appointment. I would go and they would shoot my leg with the Phesco, and every 3 weeks, I never missed one, never late for one, and had some CT scans, like just my liver. So when I was initially diagnosed, they found it was in my liver, my lungs, my liver and my lungs, as well as my breast. It had been into the lobulars, that lymphatic system had gone already there, and just was already starting to spread. So I don't want to believe this is why, but part of me is like, could this have spread that fast in those 5 weeks I was waiting to be seen? And my gut kind of says it could have, but there's no way to ever know. Anyway, so last January I returned back to work and everything was going great, continued my treatments. I really thought everything was going great. Then I had this headache. This headache started. It was kind of in the base of my, like back here, and it radiated up through here. And I had that for about 2 days and went for a follow-up with my oncologist. And didn't mention the headache. I didn't think it was important. People get headaches. I didn't, it had only been like a day or two at that point. So I didn't mention it, but about a week or so later, I went ahead and I was still having the headache. So I messaged her and she said, we need to get an MRI. And so I had one scheduled, or I feel like I had one scheduled, I'm not sure, but I was able to move it up a little quicker. And so got in for my MRI, and she called me the next day and said, you need to go to the ER. I've already put in an order for you. They know that you're coming. You have about 40 lesions in your brain that have shown up. And I was just kind of what? And just, I went through the motions, right? I mean, okay, we got to do this. Get to the ER, and I don't know that I thought a whole lot. I just did. So I found myself in the hospital for about a week. Well, they got me ready for, they just, basically it was to, just get me ready. I needed to have 10 rounds of radiation, which I did. And that was 2 weeks. They let me out of the hospital after like my second round of radiation, and then we just had to go to the cancer center every every day for those 10 days, for I guess it was 7 more days. Um, so now my next step is this chemo. It's called Enhertu. And Enhertu is a chemo that can cross the blood-brain barrier. Um, the blood-brain barrier is just, there's a lot of medicines that won't go past that place. And I think it's our body's natural protection. It's a way that it protects our brain from something. Um, so, Enhertu, though, can get past that. And it can, um, what's the word? It can attack these lesions in my brain, as well as the whole brain radiation will have done. Um, so that's good. It's very positive. My oncologist says this is not a death sentence. I can still live for a long time. This is really not an end of life situation. This is I have I have the hope of tomorrow um, still, and why am I sharing? I know there's a lot of people out there who maybe don't know what it's like to go through chemo and a treatment. I want to share this. I feel like I believe that God has given me this story and he wants me to share it. I just know that deep inside of me, and I think that's why I want to share. I want to give you hope. Um, I want you to see that there can be hard days and where we're crying and shaking my fist at God, and other days where we're rejoicing in a positive result, or a chemo that went well, or a day without throwing up. Um, I just, I want to share this. Um, and I also want people to know that this inflammatory breast cancer exists, because I certainly didn't know. I thought this was I thought breast cancer was always a little lump that you get in your breast and then you go get it cut out. And then they follow up with all this stuff and you go through your journey like that. And that's not the case. Um, and I want women to know, if you find a rash thing on your breast and everybody's saying this isn't getting better, this isn't, it's not getting better with antibiotics or whatever, I want you to know that there's this word, inflammatory breast cancer, and that people minimize it and they say, no, that's not what it is, um, but it could be. It's very rare. It's like, I think 5% or 2%. It's not. I don't know the stats on it, but it's not likely that. But likely does not mean not possible. So if you have something in you going on, go to the doctor. Don't let them minimize it and tell you it's nothing, because it can be. And then I think I'm almost ready to close now, but I want to share one more thing. I think these videos, this place that I'm in right now, this is where my grief and my gratitude collide. And I think a lot of us may have places in our life where our grief and our gratitude are colliding. And it's okay. It's okay to have deep, deep grief over something and to be really sad and upset. that you're sick or that a loved one is sick and that you have to go through whatever it is. But don't forget your gratitude over the things you have, your family, all these good things. There's good things too. And my gratitude. I got this wonderful dog right here. Let me show you. Olaf! Wait, let me see. I want to show you. Let me see if I can.